are these people?
This is about all of the Gestapo tactics that the Trump administration has been enacting to harass, intimidate, deport, and detain college students here that are protesting on behalf of Palestine and want the genocide to stop. I did not hear about this guy, Alireza Doroudi. I did hear about him the other day because Tommy Tuberville apparently weighed in, and he didn't realize that this was an Alabaman and that he didn't do anything wrong, and yet he's being sent away too. So early Tuesday morning, U.S. immigration police kidnapped a doctoral student studying at the University of Alabama from his home. As of this writing, 22-year-old Iranian citizen Alireza Doroudi is listed as detained on the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement website, but there's no record of where he's actually located. Disappearing people. The Alabama student newspaper, the Crimson White, first reported, that's kind of funny, the Alabama White, first reported that Doroudi was abducted from his home located just off the Tuscaloosa campus at around 5 a.m. Tuesday morning. That's what they do, early morning raids while you're still sleepy. The paper, citing a text message chain that included other Iranian students studying on the campus, reported that Doroudi first entered the U.S. in January 2023 on an F1 student visa. The message thread noted that Doroudi's visa was revoked 6 months later, prompting Doroudi to immediately contact the International Student and Scholar Services at the University of Alabama. That was 18 months ago. ISSS replied with confidence, stating that his case wasn't unusual or problematic and he could remain in the U.S. legally as long as he maintained his student status. So he stayed in school. After being reassured by university officials that the apparent revocation of his visa wouldn't be an issue, Doroudi continued his studies on campus. There's been no evidence provided by the DHS that Doroudi was a leader or even participated in anti-genocide protests on campus, and he hasn't been accused of a crime, just like Khalil. The only quote-unquote crime he's alleged to have committed is a minor traffic violation, according to the Crimson White, which reported that 18 months ago in November 2023, he was cited for speeding. He pled guilty and paid the $267 fine. Certainly not worthy of having cops show up at his door and disappear him. But he's Iranian. He's in Alabama. Go figure it out. Despite not being accused of a crime, his whereabouts were unknown for nearly 24 hours. On Thursday afternoon, the Crimson White and other news outlets confirmed that he's currently being incarcerated at the Pickens County Jail in Alabama. That jail is the common waypoint in the inhumane deportation journey, which typically leads to a detention facility in Louisiana, which is where they send Mohammed Khalil, before the prisoner is forced onto a plane to some overseas destination. Officials at DHS refused to comment on his case until Thursday evening, at which point they sent a message to news outlets stating, quote, ICE HSI made this arrest in accordance with the State Department's revocation of Doroudi's student visa, unquote. That's it. Without providing any supporting evidence, DHS stated, quote, this individual posed significant national security concerns, unquote. This is really Kafkaesque. Doroudi is one of hundreds, if not thousands. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, just the Kafka. Like, yeah, that's an understatement.
He's one of hundreds, if not thousands.
Kafka would think this shit's ridiculous.
Right? He wouldn't believe it.
You know?
One of thousands of immigrants who've been disappeared or abducted by U.S. immigration police in the first 3 months of the Trump administration. Hundreds, if not thousands, folks. The deliberate targeting of students, in many cases that appears with the help of universities themselves, is aimed at subordinating all cultural and intellectual life to Trump's fascist MAGA agenda. Again, this is World Socialist website. I'm not going to agree with all of it. It's the trots. They're extremists to the communist side. Legal resident and Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil is currently facing deportation for speaking out against the genocide in Gaza. Again, not exactly. He did, but he's mostly there for being the negotiator. And again, we're going to talk about the negotiator for one of the other ones next. After being kidnapped on March 8th, he remains incarcerated in an ICE detention facility in Louisiana. It's been more than 3 weeks. They did move him back to New Jersey this week. But he's still in jail. He's still not going to get to see his kid born. And he may never get out of there. They may just send him home, wherever he is, to Syria. Would you want to be sent to Syria right now? I wouldn't. Cornell University PhD student Momodou Taal, we talked about last week, is currently being hounded by the Trump admin for deportation for filing a lawsuit earlier this month challenging 2 executive orders issued by Trump aimed at suppressing speech critical of Israel and supportive of Palestinian equality. And then, of course, Thursday, protests were held for the second straight day in Somerville, Mass. In response of the kidnapping of Tufts University PhD student Runeysa Ozturk on Tuesday evening. She's committed no crime and apparently was targeted solely because she co-authored the op-ed in support of resolutions passed by the student body in opposition to Israel's genocide in Gaza and called for divestment by the university endowment. As of this writing, police in Somerville were currently blocking hundreds of protesters from entering City Hall, where the council was currently debating whether to include a ballot measure on the question of BDS on Israel on the November ballot. You can be sure how that's going to go. Video of the thuggish and masked agents surrounding and disappearing Ozturk into an unmarked vehicle Tuesday evening as she was walking to a friend's house for dinner has prompted mass outrage throughout the country and internationally. Questioned at a press conference Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio gleefully took credit for her detention and possible deportation. Oh, we revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it. Because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. We gave you a visa to study and get a degree, not become a social activist, he added. I didn't realize that you were in control of what their activities were when they got here. I thought you gave them the opportunity to study and be a student and have the freedom that all Americans have. Again, without providing any evidence that she participated in any activities. At the same press conference, he, of course, admitted that he revoked hundreds of student visas. Maybe more. It might be more than 300 at this point. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa. He's hoping that he can not have to take any more away because he's taking them all away. All right. I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them.
Wrapping it up in just blatant xenophobia.
Yep.
Like, God forbid someone from another country other than the great red, white, and blue is going to be taking my biscuits.
But this isn't
God damn it.
Wait a minute, stop. This isn't even protesting against America. I mean, it is protesting against American involvement, but it's protesting against Israel killing children and stealing their land.
Yes.
If they stop killing children and stealing their land, the kids would go home and the protests would stop, and they can't manage to make that happen. During the ceasefire, were the protests still happening?
No, and all the kids are asking
because the ceasefire
is for these
wasn't
universities
really a ceasefire.
to stop, divest, and sanction them. You know, God forbid.
Right. Stop spending the endowment on defense contractors and Israeli-supported companies. One of Rubio's so-called lunatics facing this deportation is an accomplished and hardworking scientist from Russia who fled to America after the invasion of Ukraine due to the fear that her outspoken opposition to the war would land her in the crosshairs of the Putin government. CIA asset, what? On Thursday, multiple outlets reported about Ksenia Petrova, a computer scientist who arrived in the U.S. via Georgia in the spring of 2023. According to her friend and coworker Cora Anderson, Petrova had been working at Harvard Medical School upon her arrival, because no CIA ever infiltrates Harvard Medical School. In a Facebook
You
post,
ever work for the CIA?
In a Facebook post, Anderson described her friend as not only kind, but, quote, incredibly intelligent and diligent, which CIA agents never are. Anderson said Petrova was...
It's a mystery! It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma!
Anderson said Petrova was returning from a trip from France on February 16th when she was detained at Logan International Airport in Boston. After not being able to locate her friend for nearly 72 hours, Anderson found that Petrova's visa had been revoked and she would be deported to Russia. After Petrova told ICE agents she feared persecution if she were to be returned to Russia, she was transferred to an ICE detention facility where she's remained imprisoned for over a month. So they're keeping people imprisoned indefinitely without any schedule or time frame as to when they might get out, without trial and without charge. How is this legal? How is this okay? The Insider, which is a Russia-based outlet, reported that Petrova is currently being held in an ICE facility shared with 80 other women. The outlet, citing a report from Russian news outlet Agentstovo, noted that Petrova's visa may have been revoked because of frog embryos that were in her possession, but not properly declared on customs forms, normally just a $500 fine. It's unclear if she'll be allowed to stay in the U.S., deported, or remain imprisoned in an ICE hellhole forever, indefinitely. Conditions inside the overwhelmingly for-profit facilities, by the way, Core Civic Group, are you hearing? Like the rest of the American prison gulag, are notoriously awful. And I remember Tara Reid had a conversation with someone that they deemed to be a Russian spy. What was her name? Maria something? Butna. She's now in the Russian Duma.
That is correct.
She's now in the Russian Duma.
Yeah.
In the last week, several videos have been posted to TikTok, which we showed last week about Chrome Detention Facility. Video shows humans packed into concrete cells without any space. At the El Paso Service Processing Center in Texas, at least 8 Venezuelan immigrants have alleged that guards of the facility beat them on February 25th. In a video recording featuring the victims, first reported by Rolling Stone and Capital in Maine, the detained men detailed the abuse they suffered. At the start of the video, a bruised Jesus Quintero explained, quote, "In this institution, as is evident by showing my face and in the majority of our bodies, today was another day of mistreatment by the officials of the center, of which we are tired and ask for help and justice," unquote. After Quintero spoke, another man in an orange jumpsuit stated that the guards had me up against the floor and assaulted me. Following, another man with 2 black eyes declared, "I was also assaulted today by officers." Here's the abduction, by the way.
Cruel
You
and
can see
unusual
her.
punishment.
You can see agents walk up to her, and this has sound. Plain clothes.
You guys covering your faces? You want to take those masks off?
6 of them. For an unarmed person in the middle
They
of the
let
day.
them wear
Kidnapping?
masks, but kids can't wear theirs. Fucking
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
I mean, who knew brown shirts came in different colors now?
Yep.
You know?
Plain clothes, undercover ICE
Can I see
agents.
some faces here? How do I know this is the police? Seems like bullshit to me. Certainly looks like it.
Civilian vehicles. Is that a Range Rover or an Expedition? I think they're all Expeditions.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the plates are U.S.
That
government
one.
or just standard Massachusetts plates.
Bit of a
That one too?
kidnapping going on here?
No, that's a move along.
I can't even imagine what they told this person who stopped to look. Oh, we're just abducting a terrorist. No problem. And she's gone. And has not been seen since.
Wasn't there someone in the chat will remind me, there was like a woman who was kidnapped very similarly recently by like someone that they bought a like badge off Temu, you know?
Okay.
And this lady ended up dying.
Here's another 2 minutes and 18 seconds. The editorial board chair, David North from the World Socialist website, interviews Momodou Taal. I also brought, unfortunately, so I'm not going to show this. I'll link to it in the chat after. I also brought this CounterPunch article, which is a letter from one of the Columbia PhD candidates, but he fled. He left. He saw the writing on the wall and was like, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not getting sent to an ICE prison. I'm not getting deported. I'm bailing and I'm going to Canada. Maybe they'll get him up there, maybe, but he wrote a whole explanation of why he went to Canada. Okay, we must exert maximum pressure on Columbia and other universities to protect international students from these arbitrary state actions, and we must fight for complete amnesty and reinstatement for those whom Columbia has sacrificed in the hope of reversing funding cuts. I don't blame him, dude. I'd have gotten the fuck out of there, too.
Well, you know who I blame?
Yep. Well, no, he went there. Don't blame them, because... No, they took him in. No, blame Trump. Blame Trump. Blame Israel.
No, he's blaming Canada. That would be a good remix. Someone make that one.
Seriously, and it fits, too. That slaps. All right?
Yep.
And you could totally, do stuff with the tunnels and with supremacy and with... Yes. And we are also demonetized this channel if you're able to. And of means, please don't give to the platforms. Do it via Cash App, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network or paypal.me/Indie News Network as a friend and family. And that gives us no fees. We like having no fees because that puts the most money in our pocket. Otherwise, we're paying the banks and we're paying the multi-billionaires and we're paying the hedge funds and they're taking their cut. We don't need them to do that. They can get their cut from somebody else. Thank you so much. Support independent media, kids.
Yes, sir.
We need it more than ever. We love you, fam.
Bye, Felicia.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
Can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, why play civil when all these dead won't make you listen? What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.